For decades, Mars has sat as our silent neighbor, a world we have probed with lenses, sensors, and robotic explorers that whisper data across the void. But recently, one of those machines, NASA's Perseverance rover, witnessed something it was never designed to see. In a grainy, blurred frame snapped from the surface, scientists identified a spectral light hovering against the crimson haze. At first glance, it resembled a star. But stars don't move like this. It was moving slowly, deliberately. It was 3I Atlas, the enigmatic interstellar object that has mocked the laws of astrophysics since the moment of its discovery. What should have been a routine image became a revelation so unsettling that NASA went quiet. Because buried inside that photograph is something that challenges our entire understanding of light, matter, and the line between the natural and the artificial. The real question isn't simply what the rover saw. It is why 3I Atlas positioned itself exactly there, above Mars, as if demanding to be seen. It started with a modest capture, a faint smudge hovering near a cluster of dim stars. The Mastcam-Z aboard Perseverance caught it almost by accident just one Martian day before 3I Atlas made its closest approach. Initially, the team dismissed it as lens flare or a cosmic ray artifact. But then, the motion was corroborated across multiple frames. It wasn't drifting, it was gliding. It appeared at the precise coordinates astronomers had predicted for the interstellar visitor. This was no accident. What is even more bizarre is how the environment around the rover reacted. Dust devils suddenly erupted across the plains. Pressure sensors spiked, and a massive storm began to coalesce on the horizon the moment the object passed overhead. The timing was too perfect to be chance. And when Perseverance detected subtle electromagnetic disturbances, fluctuations that perfectly matched the object's position in the sky, even the skeptics fell silent. Because the last time we photographed an anomaly on Mars, it didn't move like this, and it certainly didn't seem to interact with its observer. When the initial data streamed back from Perseverance and the Mars orbiters, scientists observed a phenomenon no telescope on Earth had ever logged. Sunlight was behaving incorrectly around 3I Atlas. Instead of scattering randomly, the light twisted, polarized, and bent in ways that implied an invisible structure. Polarization is essentially the fingerprint of light, the way waves align when hitting gas or dust. But around this object, the alignment wasn't just distinct. It was extreme, bordering on unnatural. The negative polarization readings were more intense than any comet or asteroid on record, reaching levels that physics suggests are impossible under natural conditions. This implied that the dust cloud was either composed of materials unknown to science or arranged with deliberate intent. Some researchers went further, suggesting the light wasn't reflecting at all, but rather emitting from within, a silent beacon masquerading as scattered sunlight. For the first time, it felt as though the universe wasn't just illuminating an object, the object was shining back. While the rover's images were blurry, leaked telemetry from Mars orbiters hinted at a distinct form. Not the sphere of a comet, nor the jagged shape of an asteroid, but something elongated, structured, and controlled. It echoed the shape of Oumuamua, the first interstellar visitor that baffled us years ago. But the details here were sharper. 3I Atlas wasn't tumbling through space chaotically. It was steady, balanced, and purposeful. Even more perplexing was its tail, or lack thereof. For most of its voyage, the object displayed no visible tail, defying the physics of sublimation. Yet, as it neared Mars, a thin, thread-like stream appeared, faint and narrow, only to vanish again. The object's stability, the rhythmic pulsing of its light, the appearing and disappearing tail, all of it pointed to mechanisms we cannot explain. And perhaps the most disturbing detail was its flight path. It wasn't random. It tracked the ecliptic plane of our planets, aligning itself with the very geometry of our solar system. This is where Avi Loeb and his team began to pay close attention. He categorized the object's oddities into two groups, those we might eventually explain and those we likely never will. In that second category were two coincidences that sent tremors through the scientific community. First, the timing. 3I Atlas arrived at the exact moment it would pass near Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, a synchronization too precise for mere chance. Second, its origin. The object entered our system from a trajectory aligned within 9 degrees of the WOW signal, the famous 1977 radio burst that many suspected was extraterrestrial in origin. Could this object be linked to that decades-old mystery? Or worse, is it a response? Because when scientists calculated its mass, over 33 billion tons, far heavier than any natural icy body of that size, they realized something chilling. There isn't enough material in the void between stars to naturally form something this dense and perfectly balanced. That leaves one terrifying option. Maybe 3I Atlas wasn't born out there. Maybe it was sent. As the team analyzed the faint spectral data from Perseverance, they found that the dust around the object was unlike anything on the periodic table. It wasn't acting like frozen carbon or silicates. It was reacting. Each particle appeared to interact with sunlight in an organized fashion, shifting into micropatterns as it approached Mars. Dust is usually chaotic, billions of grains tumbling in a vacuum. But this dust acted as if it were following instructions. Its reflectivity changed in a rhythm, mirroring the Martian daylight cycle. How could an object from light years away synchronize itself with the rotation of Mars? The only remaining explanation was that this wasn't synchronization, it was imitation. It was as if 3I Atlas was learning, observing, and adjusting its signature to match its environment. The idea that a comet could mimic a planet is beyond science. It belongs to the realm of deliberate design. Just as we began to grasp the optical strangeness of the object, the sun interfered. A massive coronal mass ejection, CME, erupted, a storm of plasma and magnetic fury racing across the void. When it hit the region where 3I Atlas was traveling, everything changed. The object didn't disintegrate. It simply vanished from view. No reflection, no signal, no trace. Orbiters lost contact instantly. Initially, NASA blamed solar interference. But when the plasma cleared, the object did not reappear. Instead, Perseverance began picking up ghost signals, electromagnetic echoes pulsing not from the sky, but from a Martian soil. It was as if the object's presence had flipped a switch beneath the surface. Data showed a spike in subsurface ionization, an electrical whisper matching the exact polarization rhythm recorded days earlier. 3I Atlas had left a signature, not in the atmosphere, but embedded in the red dust of Mars itself. By the time Earth-based telescopes found the object again weeks later, it was accelerating toward the sun. But before it was lost in the glare, a final observation shattered our assumptions. Enhancing the polarization data revealed repeating ratios in the signal, prime numbers, Fibonacci intervals, the golden ratio, encoded in the light waves. It wasn't reflecting photons, it was modulating them. When these patterns were plotted in 3D, a chilling shape emerged, the geometric outline of the Martian orbital plane. It was broadcasting a map, not to itself and not to us, but to somewhere else. The implication was horrifyingly clear. 3I Atlas wasn't just passing through, it was transmitting. And Mars wasn't just a waypoint, it was a relay station. While the world debated the object's nature, simulations from the European Space Agency uncovered a pattern defying coincidence. Plotted backward, the object's path aligned perfectly with Mars, Venus, and Jupiter to form a trispiral, an ancient symbol found in cave art across Earth. Some called it numerology. Others saw cosmic geometry, a path carved to interact with gravitational fields in a specific sequence. But there was more. Extended outward, that alignment pointed back to the exact region of the WOW signal. The realization chilled astrophysicists. If it came from there, and its motion was calculated, then the 1977 signal might not have been a greeting, it might have been a countdown. If true, the image captured by Perseverance wasn't a discovery, it was a confirmation. a silent nod that something ancient, intelligent, and vast is moving through our system. And it knows we are watching. As orbiters regained visual contact, a strange optical anomaly appeared over Mars' northern hemisphere. Instruments detected an aurora-like shimmer, but it wasn't atmospheric. It seemed projected from the surface upward. The glow pulsed every 147 seconds, perfectly in sync with the frequency Perseverance had detected. Enhancing the data revealed that the reflections formed geometric patterns on the terrain, triangles, arcs, spirals, aligning with the object's path. These looked like instructions, maps written in light. It was as though the object had coated Mars in a layer of optical resonance. Some theorists proposed the glow wasn't coming from Mars, but through it, as if the planet was reacting to the visitor like a dormant memory being reactivated. The James Webb Space Telescope then locked onto the object, detecting carbon-based molecules in the tail. But these were hyper-organized, resembling synthetic nanomaterials like graphene, far too refined for nature. Mapped out, the patterns looked like neural pathways, branching and self-similar. It was as if the object wasn't rock or ice, but a thinking structure, matter that learns. If 3I Atlas could encode data into its surface, then every interaction with light and gravity was part of a process: observation, analysis, adaptation. We weren't looking at a comet. We were looking at cognition in motion. Then came the deepest chill. Radio arrays on Earth began detecting an ultra-low frequency hum, a resonance buried in the cosmic background. It matched the rhythm of 3I Atlas and the Martian reflections. It was harmonized to the rotation of Mars. Then, the signal shifted, just enough to match the delay between Mars and Earth. It was adjusting to us. The realization spread like wildfire. Whatever 3I Atlas is, it is aware of both planets and responding in real time. The cosmos had become an interface, and humanity was now part of the chat. Perseverance then sent one final anomaly. Routine imaging showed markings in the soil that hadn't been there days before. Under different wavelengths, they formed a grid, a star map. The coordinates didn't point to our solar system. They traced a path out of the heliosphere toward the galactic core. But projected backward, the path began beneath the Martian crust, near an ancient magnetic impact basin. 3I Atlas hadn't just flown by. It had activated something buried, something waiting for a signal. Mars is no longer just a planet. It is a transmitter, and this object was the key. In the weeks that followed, Mars began to wake up. Thermal anomalies spread across dead regions. Seismic sensors registered rhythmic, coordinated pulses matching the object's frequency. Dust storms spiraled into perfect hexagons. The Martian magnetosphere surged. The planet was responding mechanically. And then, Earth began to answer. Magnetic observatories from Iceland to the Pacific reported fluctuations synced to the Martian resonance. Whales beached themselves disoriented. Birds changed flight paths. Even the Schumann resonance, Earth's heartbeat, shifted pitch to match Mars. We were vibrating in harmony with another world. The James Webb Telescope recorded a faint energy signature from the void, repeating the same geometric pattern Mars had projected. The planet wasn't just echoing the signal, it was amplifying it. It started subtly. Deep Space Network signals returned with distortions, coherent patterns mirroring the tri-spiral. Something was intercepting our messages, modifying them, and sending them back. Then Perseverance transmitted a data packet containing only binary code, 0101, spaced by pauses matching the resonance. Converted to audio, it was a low, pulsating hum. The rover was relaying a message from someone else. Finally, the sky changed. James Webb captured a reflection near Venus. A negative light shimmer, absorbing radiation, moving in a mirror image of 3I Atlas. It aligned with Earth's orbit, shining brighter on the side facing Mars. It was targeting us. For decades, we believed we were the searchers. But perhaps we were never the observers. We were the observed. What began as a blur on Mars has become a chain reaction linking worlds. Perseverance didn't just take a photo, it triggered a response. Mars was the first mirror in a vast network, waiting for an intelligent gaze to activate it. As 3I Atlas faded, it transformed. The mirror object near Venus, the synchronized frequencies, the geometry carved into our atmosphere. It all points to one conclusion. The object was never a traveler. It was a construct designed to awaken dormant systems within the planets themselves. And now, they're awake. The latest readings confirm a massive, organized pulse returning from deep space, echoing the tri-spiral. It's not calling home. Home is answering. Scientists are terrified. Is this communication, observation, or something older? Perhaps 3I Atlas was a probe or a trigger. If so, that first image wasn't a discovery. It was the moment humanity announced itself to a universe that had been listening all along. The question isn't what 3I Atlas is. The question is, what happens when its reflection reaches us? Will we recognize the message? Or will we realize too late that it wasn't a message, but an invitation? What do you believe? Was this a natural visitor, or the start of something that has waited billions of years to be seen? Let us know in the comments. And if this made you question the silence of space, subscribe and share this video. Because maybe the silence wasn't empty. It was waiting, and now it is finally speaking back. I'd love to hear what you think about this, so drop a comment below. If you enjoyed our conversation today, please share this video and subscribe to help the channel grow. Every bit of support counts.